Hello everyone, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. My name is Osera Mae. If today is your first time seeing my channel, thank you so much for stopping by. In today's video, we're going to be making this beautiful dress I'm wearing on the side. This dress was inspired by this outfit in the middle, made by Stitches by IC. So if this is something you're interested in learning how to make, you definitely want to keep on watching this video. And if you're still here to subscribe, probably today is your first time seeing my channel, please hit on the subscribe button and turn on notification bell, and let's get started with today's video.
You know that you control me. Guilty self-affliction.
So guys, these are the fabrics we are going to be using for the making of this dress. I have the first one here, it's crepe, and I have just half a yard. You don't need a lot of it. If you have half yard, it's perfect. Then next I have my African print. I have 3 yards of this. 3 yards is enough for most people. Then lastly, I have this fringe here. I bought 1 yard of it. 1 yard was about 3,000 naira. So you don't need it for both the front and the back, only if your client says use it for the front and back. I bought this for just the front. So now the next thing we're going to do is to fold our fabric, and I'm going to be folding it into two. But before I make my fold on the fabric, I am going to measure the length of my fringe, because we're going to be reducing the length of the front by what we get now. So I measured the length of my fringe and it's almost 20 inches, just something about 19 inches long. So now for the length of this dress, I am going to be using the longer side of my fabric, not this length here. So I'll be using the other side. So I'm going to fold the fabric into two now. And when I make this first fold, I'm going to reduce the length of the front by the 19 inches that we got when we measured our fringe. Okay, so you can see where I made my fold here. You can see it here. Then the front stopped here and then the back continued. The front is about 19 inches shorter than what I have on the back. So this is where the front is. From here, the fringe is going to cover up for it. I actually hope that you guys understand. So when you fold it into two, make sure that the front is a little bit shorter than what you have at the back. So once that is done, I just want to quickly use my tape to just measure everything to be sure. I am going to measure from the top all the way to how long I want this dress to be. So I want it to be about 58 inches long. So what I have here right now is 60 inches, and I'm going to be folding the end of the back, so that will reduce it. So from where my fold stopped here to what I'm going to be having on the front, I'm just going to measure to be sure it's long enough for the fringe. So once I'm done with all the arrangements, I'm sure that the front and the back are well arranged and I have enough room for my fringe in front. I am going to fold this fabric into two again. So this time around, you see that the fabric has been folded into four. Note that the front is still shorter than the back. Nothing has changed. The only thing I did here is just to fold it again into four. So you see the front here is still shorter than the back. So once you're done folding it into four, we are going to go ahead now and take our measurements. So we'll start by drafting the neckline. So now from the center fold here, I am going to go in by 2 3/4 of an inch here for the width of my neckline. The neck is not very wide. And for the back neckline, I am going to go down by 2 inches. So then for the front neckline, I'll just go down by 3.5 inches and connect it together. So I just drafted out the front and back neckline together. Okay. Now from the center here, I'm going to go in by half of my shoulder measurement. I just made a mark here as you can see. Now half of my shoulder measurement is 7. Okay. So now from this point here, I am going to go in by how long I want my sleeve to be. I marked it at 14 inches because the sleeve is supposed to get to my elbow. So now I am going to come down by 1 inch from the shoulder for my shoulder slope. Now this is optional, but I think it actually looks better when we give our outfit a little bit of a shoulder slope. So I'll just slope it to the neckline. Next, we are going to be adding our body measurement to the side of this dress. Now, if your bust is the biggest part of your body, you use your bust measurement. If your hip is your biggest part, you use your hip. Now, for me, my hip is the biggest part of my body. So I just divided my hip measurement by 4 and I made a mark here from the middle of the fold that I have. And now I'm going to be adding extra 5 inches for ease because this is a BUBU dress. You need it to be free. You can add more or less inches depending on your taste. Now from the shoulder slope here, I'm going to come down by how wide I want my sleeve to be. This is also dependent on you. So for me, I'll mark it here at 13 inches. So I'll just extend the sleeve to the side here and then extend the line all the way to the side of the dress till you get to the end of the fabric. So now we're going to cut this out. I'll be cutting the back neckline first because it doesn't affect anything even though I cut it together with the front. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and cut out the side. You notice that I've not cut out the front neckline yet because if you do that, you will end up making the back neckline too wide as well. Okay, so I'm just going to continue cutting out every other part and then I'll cut out the front neckline when I separate the two pieces. So now I'm going to remove the back piece. Okay, let's take away the back piece. So now we can cut the front neckline to be deeper. Now, if you look closely at the dress I am trying to recreate, you notice that there's a placket at the front of the dress. Okay, else you will not be able to wear this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just open up the front neckline by 7 inches. You can make it a little bit shorter if you want to, maybe 6 inches. This is my first time making a placket, so I just felt 7 inches would be okay. But if you already know how to do this, please go ahead and do it the way you know how to. I went ahead to cut out facing for the front and back pieces. That's the neckline of the front and the back, as you can see. So I am going to be using my facing right now to turn the front neckline as well as turning the back neckline. So I'll just place the facing and the neckline together, right sides facing each other. I'll pin it down and just go ahead and stitch all the way around. I will do the same thing for the back pieces as well. So I'm done turning my neckline with the facing. So this is what the back looks like and this is the front. Okay, so it's very simple. Just use it to turn the neckline to the back. Now the next thing we're going to be working on is the placket, and for that I am going to be using this piece of fabric here. I already cut it out and I've ironed air stay to just give it some strength. Okay, so now like I said before, this is my first time trying this out, so this is just the method I think would work. The length of this piece is about 13 inches long, as you can see, and then for the width I have almost 5 inches. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to fold this piece into two, like you see me doing like this, and I'm just going to go ahead and pin down this side. So I'm going to mark a point somewhere in the middle. So from here to somewhere here, I'm not going to be stitching it down. So I'll just stitch every other part except that middle point I created. So once I'm done, I'm going to fold the stitch into the center like this and stitch down the other two ends, making sure that there's a space for me to turn everything over at the center. I'm done making my stitch now, and like I said, I made sure to leave a space in the middle so I'll be able to turn it out. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it out now and then iron it out. So this is what the piece looks like right now. So we're going to be placing it on the neckline. So the part with the stitch is going to be the wrong side. Okay, so this is the neckline, as you can see. So I'm just going to basically just place this to cover up the neckline. Now, like I said before, this is my first time trying this out. I tried watching videos and wasn't really understanding it, but I just felt like I have an idea of how to go about this, so I just decided to do it like this. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and place this on the neckline. As you see, I've arranged it in place, and I'm just going to go ahead and pin it down. I'm done pinning it down now, and I'm going to make a stitch on this side here as well, but I'll be stopping about 7 inches away from the top of the neckline. This part is going to be towards your left. Okay, so I'm done stitching it down now, and this is what it looks like. So this is for us to be able to probably place our normal button or press button on the neck. So I'm just going to be holding it down with my pin for now. So the next thing I want to work on is the V-shaped design in front of the neckline. So I'm going to measure how wide this whole neckline is here, and it's 6 inches. So we'll be taking this aside and we'll be using that 6 inches to determine the V. So this fabric is folded into two. So from the folded edge that doesn't have any cut, I'm going to go in. But instead of marking the exact 6 inches, I'm going to mark 5 inches here. Next, I am going to bring back my fabric. So from the shoulder, I'm just going to slant like a V to get to how deep I want the V shape to be. So I'll be marking this at about 18 inches. So now from this place here, I'll just slant my tape to like the 18 inches point, and I'll make a point here. So I'm be using my ruler now to just connect these 2 points to give me a V. Now for the length of the V shape, from the first line we drew, I'm going to be marking out 2.5 inch. And from the end here, I also mark 2.5 inch. And I will use my ruler to also connect the 2 points together. So once that is done, the next thing we want to do is to cut it out. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut out the first one. I am cutting a little bit away from the actual lines that I drew, just to give me some stitching allowances to work with. So guys, this is the V shape. As you can see, I'm just going to go ahead and iron my hairstay to the wrong side of this. And after I was done ironing my hairstay, this is what it looks like. So on the center here, I'm going to cut it by about 1/4 inch, and I'll cut the end again by about 1/4 inch as well. Just a very small cut. Now I am going to use my iron to just iron the edges down so that when I'm on the sewing machine to be very easy to stitch this down. So I decided to also use my hemming gum for this. So I'm just separating my hemming gum into two because it's actually too wide for what I want to use it for. So once you have done this, next thing you want to do is to place your hemming gum inside. That area where you made the cut is going to make it easier for you to still retain your V even after folding it up. So you're going to iron it in like you see me doing like this as you arrange your hemming gum inside. So when you are doing it like this, you notice that it's actually gumming and sticking in place. That way, when you're on the sewing machine, all you have to do is to just make a straight stitch and you don't have to end up with like a bent V shape. Okay. So I'll do this on both ends for the center and for the other end as well. So after I was done, this is what I have. So you can see I've ironed out everything and you can see how nice the V shape is looking. So I am going to go ahead now and just pin this around the neckline. Next, I will just go ahead and stitch it down here and on the other end as well. But at this time, I did not have the right color of thread to use, so I just decided to use my hemming gum to just put it in place for now. I'll make my top stitch when I get a matching thread. So now let's continue with the tutorial. Next thing I'm going to do now is to join the shoulders together, and like I always do, I'm going to use one of the facing to turn the whole neckline around, and I'm just going to go ahead and pin down the whole shoulder area just like you see me doing like this. I'll do the same thing for the both ends and go ahead and stitch it down. So after I was done making my stitch, this is what it looks like. Now the next thing we want to do is to also create like another band on the sleeve with the color we used around the neckline. So I already cut out two pieces. Now the length is obviously more than enough for what I need it for, and then the width is 3 inches wide. Okay, so by the time I'm done stitching it on both ends, it should go down to about 2 inches, which is what I want it to be. So I am going ahead to pin it down now. As you can see, I am placing this piece on the right side of my sleeve, okay, so that by the time we are done stitching it down, to be on the wrong side. So I'll make a straight stitch first and then turn everything over to the wrong side on the sewing machine, iron it out, and then just fold this in and just stitch it down as well. So guys, after I was done making my stitch, this is what it looks like on the inside, and this is what the other side looks like. So the blue design is actually going to be inside the sleeve, not outside. So after making the sleeve, the next thing I went ahead to do was to fold the end of this front piece and also fold the end of the back piece. I made the fold of the back a little bit wide, okay, and for the front I just did about 1/4 inch wide. You don't need it to be too wide for the front. Now I'm turning everything over to the wrong side so that we'll go ahead and join the sides. Remember, the front is still shorter than the back, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and arrange everything as it is like this, and I'll go ahead and stitch it all the way to the end here, to where the front stopped here. Let me just pin it down here. So now from where the front ended here, we need to sew the remaining part of the back so that it's not looking rough. So I'm going to go ahead and just fold these parts like this, okay? Just where the front ended. I'll fold it in like this here, and I'm just going to also go ahead and fold the other side as well. So guys, I'm done joining the sides together as you can see, and I also went ahead to stitch down this area like I said I was going to do. That's the remaining part of the back. So now the last but not the least is for us to finish up the front with our fringe. So what I'm going to do here is to just fold some part of the fringe about 1 inch in and just place it on the front part here. So let me just go ahead and pin down this first one here. I'll just pin it down here. And then I'm just going to continue to just arrange the fringe on the front part like this. You see? Just make sure you are arranging it straight. The fringe will not like to stand normal unless you wear it. So it's going to actually just be falling all over the place, squeezing together until you put it on. So I'm just going to top stitch it on the front part alone, and when I get to the other end, I will just cut off the excess. So I'll just go ahead and do that on the sewing machine now and show you guys the final look. So my loves, this is what the dress looks like after I was done placing the fringe under, and it looks really nice. It's very simple and it's something that you can wear on a casual and on a serious occasion, whichever one you want to. So yeah, thank you so much for watching today's tutorial. I hope you find it helpful. If you're still yet to subscribe to my YouTube channel, please hit on the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.